Welcome back to IELTS Face-Off. It's another Wednesday with myself, Phoebe, and Michael Liu.
It's a pleasure to be here again.
Yeah, we're living the times of our life, you guys. And when it comes to living the times of your life, we dare you to also live. Today's topic is Dare to Live, and we are going to be talking about some of the things that we can see, that we can do, that we can decide to do, so that our lives can be the most meaningful.
And speaking of having a meaningful life, I think that has something to do with our talent for the night. Now, this guy has been making me quite nervous, considering we watched him on TV. My wife, my mother-in-law, my 4-year-old son, and myself all watched him on TV, and we all were adoring him. And the reason why he's so adorable, I reckon, is because of his lifestyle, his daring determination to live, to be alive. Now, you may be curious who he may actually be. How about we take a peek at the following video.
Hey guys, it's Kid HUY TRad N. I'm 30 years old, born and raised in Germany. Just moved back to Vietnam 1.5 years ago. Doing model jobs, commercials, just acting in music videos, attending some shows, game shows in Vietnam, and now I just opened my restaurant recently. Really excited about that. Stay tuned and watch me doing the next steps.
All right, I think it's now time to invite our guest out into the studio. And I know, Michael, you've been boiling. Did I say boiling? I'm used to saying fangirling, but no, you've been fanboying for the past 2 hours or so.
Yeah, I'm actually extremely very nervous too, being sidelined next to this guy, because my wife has always, gotten all excited and over him, and now she's got a direct comparison, so I don't know what to say about it, but I'm so nervous, so I'm just going to give a shout out to our talent for the night, Kid HUY TRad N.
Hi guys. Hi.
Hey buddy.
Hi, how are you doing?
Welcome to the hood.
Hi Michael.
Hello.
Hi Phoebe. Hey.
Welcome.
So good to be here.
Have a seat, have a seat.
Yeah.
So you've been back to Vietnam for a while now, and we've seen a lot of your life here in Vietnam. But what was your life like when you were still living in Germany?
First of all, I just want to thank you guys for having me here. I'm really excited, quite nervous as well. My heart is pounding right now. See Michael in person, good looking, wow, and like really fashionable, right? And also you have a settled life, and everything is the same day by day. And in Vietnam, it's like an adventure. You learn new things day by day.
What gave you the motivation to start your first Instagram account? Was it a girl? Was it out of boredom? Or was it just simply the fact that you wanted to convey a message? What was it?
The girls. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I would
Men and their hormones.
No. Actually, I mean, back then I started Instagram in 2015. Back then in Germany it was really trending, like everyone used it, and Facebook was getting boring. It's just like for families and close friends. So yeah, I started with Instagram because I like the aesthetic of it. It's something new. You just only post pictures and can express yourself, your personality through pictures, right? So
look at you.
Wow.
oh my God, yeah. That's
a lot of personality, a lot of angst in those pictures.
That's right.
Yeah, so those pictures are from Vietnam actually, and I really started to be more on Instagram and in Vietnam actually than in Germany. Yeah, in Germany it was more like a hobby, and now it's kind of my another job of mine beside of my restaurant. Yeah.
Little do many people know that I was a bit of a fashion blogger myself. Back in the past, back in the days of lookbook.nu.
Oh wow!
Are you aware of that?
Wow. Okay.
So I managed to get,
yes.
I think the peak number of followers I got was about 3,000 at the time, which wasn't that many. I struggled to get followers.
Yeah.
So, have you got any tips or for how to get followers?
I'm really wondering why, because like I watched so many episodes with you before. On
Did you?
Face-Off. I did. And I was like really impressed by your style and the
I'm
way
blushing
you dress.
big time.
Actually, I really need advice from you, like when it comes to suits and like how to look dapper, right? Yeah. Wow.
Whatever you wear, which just look good anyway. Now, what was it like for you to actually gain some traction, a lot of traction at the beginning when you started your social media account?
Yeah. I moved to Vietnam with my ex-girlfriend Nhi Lê. So she were a famous fashion blogger before, really ambitious and really really good at it. And yeah, we moved to Vietnam, and everyone was asking like, "Who's the boyfriend?" Right? So that's the first step where I like really like get followers, and the next one will be the ngợi show.
One of the things that I get to see when you guys speak to each other, because you guys are both, overseas Vietnamese, eventually returning to Vietnam, I see a sense of bromance. I also see a sense of,
Respect.
chemistry.
I do.
And it's so interesting to sit here as a woman watching two men talking about fashion, right? I think the world has definitely changed
Absolutely.
for the better.
2020.
It's 2020 for sure. Now, so when you decided to come back to Vietnam, did you have a lot of resistance from your family? Because I'm sure they worked very hard to give you a life overseas.
Absolutely. So, yeah, my mother was totally against it, obviously. Also, like Nhi's parents. But the good thing about my parents and Nhi's parents is like they always wanted to for us to follow our passion, follow our dream, no matter where. Like for my little brother, he moved to Los Angeles when he was like 17, and now he's living in Canada. And we've been always supporting him. Like so, my mother did it as well for me. So at the end, sure, in the beginning, like my parents put a lot of effort to get us to Germany, right? Yeah, had to suffer a lot, and they don't understand like why we made a decision to move back to Vietnam. But what they don't know, for the younger generation, they might understand it better. Our country is like improving so fast, so much opportunity here, and that's what I actually saw every time I travel back to Vietnam for work and for vacation.
Now, this question might actually make you feel a bit uneasy and could get you in trouble.
Okay.
But, because I'm a big fan of those questions, but do you identify yourself as being more German or Vietnamese?
That's hard. That's a question I had all of my life, right? Maybe you as well. I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, I would say that I've struggled with it all my life as well. But and I have a better idea now, though. But I want to see if you and I are on the same page when it comes to nationality.
I just moved back to Vietnam like 1.5 years ago, and back then in Germany, it's always been like, where do I belong? Which is my country, right? I'm obviously more German than Vietnamese because I'm 30 now and I live in Germany like 28 years. So, but you still look different. But still, I'm trying to adapt to the culture of Vietnam. But I'm feeling much more comfortable in Vietnam than I do in Germany, actually. Yeah.
Right, so you feel a lot more at home in
more at home,
in Ho
yes.
Chi Minh City, where you're living at the moment.
Yeah.
It's just true. Because the Ho Chi Minh City is a very globalized and internationalized city with foreigners and people of different personalities coming together, gravitating towards the city. Is that why you feel so at home there? Is it because of the global personality that you have? And I think, and does that have to do with your social media presence as well?
no, it doesn't have to do with my social media in the first place. But yes, Saigon or Ho Chi Minh City is a really dynamic, young city, really like a multicultural city, and that's why I also decided to move to Saigon, because I think like for me or for any expats or like Vietkios, it's a easier start to start from new, right?
You know, since now that you're back, do you feel a lot of pressure to have to be successful? And you're also, you know, super popular on social media, and even Michael is like over there saying, "Oh, I'm so good looking," you know, like, "Oh my God," like he's fanboying over you. Is that more pressure, or do you find that that's going to make your life a bit easier?
It's always been a pressure, not because of Instagram, but because of the environment and the community, and also my friends, because like my friends here in Vietnam, they are really like ambitious, and everyone is running their own business, even though they're a lot younger than me, right? So back in Germany, my friends are like, okay, I work for this company, I work for that company, and yeah, I mean like that's good as well, but I moved to Vietnam, and I always had this pressure to also like do something, to also like running my own business.
I would say that the turning point for you in Vietnam in terms of exposure and publicity was người ấy là ai. Is that true?
Người ấy là ai? Yeah.
Like you became a lot more popular after that show.
Yeah.
How has it sort of like changed how you're received by people around you, and how people sort of like interact and talk to you?
Yeah. The show was end of 2018, and I was lucky because my episode was quite special, because like Zhang was the chosen one who can choose a guy, right? And she chose me, and it went pretty viral. Yep.
Hello there.
Yep. And yep. The funny things, like I also like attended in Amazing Race, the latest one, 2019, which I'm really proud of. Like this show was really like bringing me a lot. I learned so much from this show, right? But everyone's known me from Người là ai, so still now, until now, yeah.
Including me, actually.
Including you.
And I
you don't know me in Amazing Race? It's just in the... Oh, here we go.
Can't say I have.
Oh.
We want to know some sort of like insider information about what it was like to be on that show. Now, what was it like to be chosen by Zhang?
I was so surprised. I was so surprised. I didn't expect it to happen, actually, because I really tried to tell her like low key, hey, I'm taken, you know, I'm taken. I can be your friend. You can have my shoulder, but I'm taken. And I saw like Khen, he was really into Zhang, and he's trying his best, and he was like really shaking backstage and everything. And I really wish like Zhang will choose him, right? And yeah, I was so surprised, and it was unexpected, actually.
And now it is time for our lovely audience questions.
I have a question. I have a brother, and actually he's had the same age with you. And I have to confess that my brother's appearance, I think you are much younger than my brother.
Oh, wow, thank you.
Both of you are same age. So can you share some tips how you can keep that young looking, how to maintain that young lifestyle for us, please? How you maintain that young appearance? Thank you.
Excellent question. We all want to know.
Excellent, yes. Yes. How do I look like you?
You look good as you are. Actually, I always like really, I always really feeling good if someone says like, if someone guessing my age and guess I'm older than I actually am, right? As a guy, you always want to appear like more adult, more. How to do it? First of all, I have to thank my mother and my dad, I think.
For the good genes.
But the thing, what I do is like, I'm doing a lot of sports, right? Since I was like 17, I'm doing boxing and Muay Thai back then. Like I'm still doing it, and I think like this helps a lot. And also like, think young, feel young, and you will look young, I think.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
So as a businessman in fashion, do you reckon how much money should a person spend in a month in order to look good?
Yeah,
Thank
in
you.
order to look good. I mean, for myself and what I try to communicate with my followers and the community is like, you don't need much money to look good. For me, it's really important, always been important to wear clothes which fits me, which makes me feel comfortable and to have confidence, right? It's really important, and you don't need to wear expensive brands to do it. Like in Berlin, I really love thrift shopping, buying secondhand stuff, and like mix and match with what I got. So my answer to this question will be spend that much, which what will bring you in trouble in the end of the month, financial-wise.
Okay, but I want a number. I like numbers.
You like numbers?
How much do you guys spend a month on fashion?
Okay, I'll start first. Well, I couldn't agree more with you on the fact that dressing expensively does not mean dressing nicely or well. Money doesn't buy style. It buys you clothes, it doesn't buy you style. So I would say I actually don't spend that much money per month. I don't really count it by month. I tend to have long-term investments when it comes to clothes. So I would spend really big on suits that would last me for 10 years than to buy, I don't know, like a few $100,000 or a few grand's worth of clothes per month or per year, if you know what I mean. So I look at clothes as investments, and whenever I buy things, I tend to sort of look at what else I've got in the wardrobe, just to see if I could, first of all, save money, so I can, sort of piece them all together, and then second of all, save the environment, because I don't really want to, destroy the environment too much by, spending too much money on pieces of garments that damage the environment, I'd say. So how about your case? How much money you spend per month?
Wow, I'm a basic guy. Like, I buy a shirt, I like it, I buy 3 of them or 5 pieces of them and wear it for the rest of my life, right? I don't go shopping a lot, actually. I don't have a clear number, but I always like, it always depends, like, am I able to buy this and not struggling at the end of the month, still can cover the bills of my girlfriend if we have dinner or something, right?
What's your opinion on people that sort of cover themselves up with Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Hermes, and all of these expensive brands? What's your perspective on them?
I mean, it's their hobby. I mean, I spent a lot of money in motorcycles and cars. That's my sin, actually, yeah. Mm-hmm. So, like, I bought a motorcycle, and the first thing I had to do is to buy a new exhaust system and everything, right? So this was my thing, and it was my hobby. But in terms of clothes, I don't really care. As long as I look good and I feel confident, it's okay.
You're a man of speed now, aren't you?
I am.
Yeah, it's now time for us to go on to the IELTS Face-Off Challenge, and we'll get to have a bigger glimpse into what you guys' hobbies are. Next up is IELTS Face-Off Challenge with Hui Chen and Michael Liu. Coming right up next. Lu.
Hi, I'm Vũ Quang Huy, and now I'm a sophomore at Vietnam University of Commerce. and today I'm so great and happy to attend this video challenge. So my tattoo moment in my life is traveling alone to a city which is strange and far from my current city. Sounds like dangerous, but it was worth trying, and it was a great and adventurous moment in my life.
IELTS Face-Off Challenge with Huy Trần and maybe Michael Liu.
I didn't agree to this.
Well, this is the rule of the game, guys. The rule of the game is this. It's called Who Would You Rather? We're going to show you pictures of people, and you're going to have to choose who you'd rather date or have dinner with or be friends with.
Okay.
All of that in the decision-making process, okay?
Okay.
All right, so let's have the first pair. Who would you rather?
So hard, actually.
So would you like to anh ở lại or?
Yeah, I would like to hang out with Chipu.
Chipu.
Because why? Because like I know her designer, her stylist.
Right.
So that's why. Yeah, she seems like a cool person. I don't know much about Big Film actually.
That's Chipu. Let's have the next one.
Okay.
Ooh.
Ngô Thanh Vân and Mỹ
That's
Tâm.
hard. Oh my gosh. Like an icon. Like my parents love her and what?
Not just your parents, you too.
Yeah, I love both of them. I love both of them. That's a hard one. I don't know. Sure, not dating one of them.
You can pick both.
I'm
Be
way too
greedy.
young. But yeah, I would love to have be friends with both of them, for sure. I have to pick one, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Actually, Ngô Thanh Vân
Ngô Thanh
looked...
Vân.
Oh, I was going to say something. You know what I was going to say?
Why though?
Why? She's doing like she's really into like martial arts, and I saw her on Star Wars. She has a little scene in Star Wars.
Wait,
I'm
hang
a
on.
huge Star Wars fan.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love you already, man. One more. That's mainly the reason why I'm a massive Star Wars nerd.
really?
So,
That's why?
and she's one of the rare Vietnamese actresses that have managed to make a mark on Hollywood as well. So
Yeah.
And I was going to
It's
say
definitely
Ngô
the reason
Thanh Vân looks a bit like your ex. Okay.
Oh.
okay, now we're talking.
Now we're
Here we
talking.
go. Oh.
Hương Giang and Hoàng Thị Linh.
I would like to have dinner with Hương Giang.
Hương Giang.
Yes.
Woohoo.
But Hoàng Thị Linh is also a really nice person. Really, I had a shoot with her recently. Singer. Doc Dien, yeah.
I guess.
I like her songs.
Okay, how come? Why Doc Dien?
Because I like her song.
Right.
Hey,
I thought you would choose Doc Dien because she might be able to connect with you better, considering she spent a fair amount of time overseas, and then she
did. Yeah, she did. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, she did. So, yeah, another reason why Doc Dien.
You know, what might make it fun would be for me to guess what he would pick, and then he could pick it. Something like that, maybe. Aww.
That's it.
Oh, next time.
Next time we'll give you a list of people, including Michael Liu. Michael Liu is going to be one of the options.
Do it on our catch-ups. That's all right. Anytime. I would like to hang out with this guy anytime. So
It's been a fun game. Before we let you go, let's go to the middle of the stage. Let's say some final words to our audience.
one of the greatest perks about hosting this show for me and Phoebe is the opportunity for us to end up with a sister or a brother from another mother. And today, my new brother from another mother, Huy Trần, is going to make my life and Phoebe's lives a lot easier by ending and wrapping up the show with an inspiring quote or idiom.
All right, let me try that. You will never know if you don't risk it.
Damn, that's right. Simply said, but straight to the point.
All right, well, you never know until you risk it. I'm going to try and end the show by not risking anything.
That's right.
But I will try to do it well. So, okay, so talking about daring to live, there are a lot of things that we do to live. We eat, we sleep, we sit around, we make friends, and that is about living, you know. But daring to live, I think, is a term that can maybe challenge us to take risks, as you said, to be able to live in a meaningful way, and also to be able to do things that will make our lives and other people's lives meaningful. To take also the decision to be able to create significant changes in our lives. So I think I've dared to live in some ways or another by choosing to stay in Vietnam, by choosing to host with you, Michael, and speaking to, of course, Huy Trần.
Thank you for having me.
That's right. So get out there and be alive, not just live. Catch you next time.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to the backstage area, and here with me today is a very handsome, fashionable guy, Anh Huy.
Hello guys.
Hey, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. So how do you feel being part of the show today?
Wow, it was a great experience. I was so nervous at the beginning, but talking with those guys within 5 minutes, like I'm feeling totally fine and comfortable. Really pretty good.
So as a businessman in fashion, what is the difference between Western fashion trend and Vietnamese fashion trend? Are there many differences, or are they compatible?
Absolutely. You can, for example, Sarah, fast fashion, but the fashion is completely different than in Vietnam because depends on the weather, right?
So that is Anh Huy Trần for us. And thank you so much for being part of the show today. And guys, tune in every week and make sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. Bye.
Bye, guys.